So we might ask ourselves in the end, how do we use Pilates to influence the nervous system? And as I mentioned, we have the input and we have the output. So the sensory coming in, we want to influence the sensory coming into the body of these individuals so that they feel like their body is moving and that there is the benefits of movement, even if they can't feel it. So if they have trauma or injury or disease to the sensory part of the nervous system, can we still provide information that maybe they can use their visual or other proprioception to be able to be aware of their bodies in space? If the disease impacts their cognition, for example, let's say somebody has memory loss as well, or they can't process a command. We've worked with a lot of clients that have Alzheimer's or dementia, and outside of having to teach them the exercise like it's the first time every time, they still have the benefit of the movement. The movement still creates all the benefits of the digestive system, the integumentary system, the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, all benefit from the movement. The other thing that in neurological learning, so let's say somebody had a stroke and they're recovering from a stroke or they're recovering from an MS bout, the increased repetition without fatigue allows for the nervous system to relearn that movement. Remember I said if the brain center or the central nervous center of the memory of that movement is damaged, we have to re-educate it. And one thing that we can hang our hat on right now is this idea of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is that the nervous system is much more adaptable than we used to think. When I was in school, we said if a nerve was killed, it was done. But we've learned since that there is neuroplasticity, that there are new connections being made. We can reprogram movement and speech and those things inside of this beautiful nervous system of ours. So increased repetition without fatigue can lead to re-educating the movement neuroplasticity of functional activity. So it's a great thing. The third one is external and internal feedback. So the external feedback is us. It's the reformer, it's gravity, it's the mirror, it's videos, it's sound, it's tactile cueing. These are all of our our external cueing or feedback that allow them to start aligning what they're perceiving in their body that might be deficient in its sensory and be able to get them to have a heightened internal awareness. That again falls back on our belief that there is neuroplasticity, that we can re-educate ourselves. And think about people that do not have neurological disorders, but have maybe physical impairments, or maybe they are just sedentary and inactive and poor posture. We know that through repetition of successful movement experiences, that their posture can change and their proprioception changes and their awareness changes. And then the last thing I have on here is repetitive functional movement patterns. Try not to get too involved in doing an isolated movement as much as something that could help them. Bringing the hand to their mouth, bringing the hand to the back of their head, putting their pants on, bending over to put socks on, going up a step or down a step, getting in and out of a chair, being able to bathe themselves. Think of all of our movements when somebody's dealing with these level of impairments of how we can help them move better. What are the functional movement patterns that we need to restore? We've got a couple good questions here, and I want to go back into them because we got, I think, about 3 minutes before our time's up. I'm glad that we were able to cover quite a bit of this information, and we will be breaking it down in the future, more particularly by pathologies in these areas, but I felt that this would be a good precursor covering some superficial anatomy and being able to understand it. So Flavi's question about the somatic nervous system, as I mentioned, somatic means body, right? So we talk about somatic movement, we talk about somatic therapy. We're often talking about sort of connecting the awareness of the body, and in the neurological or in the physiological terms, somatic means the efferent nervous system. So this is going to be the motor nervous system, somatic nervous system are synonymous. Rosanna de Guzman said, what if the muscles become spastic? Should they still move, i.e. Parkinson's? Remember that Parkinson's is more rigidity. It's not spasticity, it's rigidity. And yes, they should move. And you can start with very slow and sometimes heavier loads are easier for them to process especially like on the reformer. So a heavier spring, might allow them to bend a little bit easier because their muscles are rigid. Spasticity, on the other hand, is saying that there is a signal coming from the spinal cord telling the muscle to contract, but the inhibitory fibers are not working. And so the muscle is turned on and it stays on. And that's why you would see things like what's called clonus, where you see it shaking, or you see the cramping or the spasticity of those muscles. I hope that helps. But Parkinson's is rigidity. MS, spinal cord injury, central nervous system injuries can often result in spasticity. Marianne Parton said, is this study about Pilates' impact on Parkinson's disease patients available somewhere? It's more of just our experience with it. The video is available. I'd be glad to talk to you about what we've done. I've also presented it in numerous professional presentations as a pilot study. So that is available, and maybe we can ship at least the synopsis of what we did and what we saw with our clients to you. So that's my time today, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us on the Pilates Hour. We have more to come next week. I'm going to be with Beth Kaplanik. We're going to be talking about orthopedic injuries and particularly arthritis. She is a great teacher. She's got a course coming up as well. Stay tuned with our activities. Anytime you want to know what's going on in the Polestar world, tap into the Polestar website or subscribe to the Polestar newsletter, the Polestar Life newsletter that comes out almost every week. And we like to have good feature stories about many of you and things that you're doing. If you have a great story you want to share with the world, let us know. We'd love to share it for you. Again, thank you, everybody. Above all things, be kind, and I will see you next week.